salty Gulf Coast to the rolling high plains, to the piney woods in the east. All across our dear Texas, folks need good food to eat. Our farmers and ranchers are heroes. They've always made Texas great. Texas agriculture matters. It's the heart of the Lone Star State. Oh, Texas got it all, y'all.
Howdy, neighbors. I'm Commissioner Sid Miller with the Texas Department of Agriculture. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Texas Agriculture Matters, right here on RFD TV. Hey, you know what the oldest profession is? No, it's not that. It's farming. Agriculture has been around for tens of thousands of years, and for all those years, it's pretty simple. Add a little sunlight, water to the soil, and some seed, and eventually you'll get food. But while the basics of agriculture haven't changed, the world sure has. In the last century, we've added about 6 billion people to the world, and every one of them has to eat. Did you know that in 1970, there was roughly half as many people then as there is in the world today? Of course, to feed these folks, agriculture has to keep up. Good thing farmers are great innovators. Well, they always have been. Thanks to innovation and technology, agriculture has kept pace with the population, and food shortages are rare. Well, especially here in the United States. Farmers, as always, they're doing more with less. By increased focus on improved genetics, new technology, and better pesticides, U.S. agriculture is a model for the world. But it still might not be enough. While American farms are bigger today than in the past, there's actually fewer of them. You know, with urban development, urban sprawl, putting pressure on production agriculture, farmers must continue to modernize and adapt. The future of agriculture will focus on innovation, sustainability, and scalability. Today, we're going to look at the future of agriculture and how farming can change to feed a growing world. Folks, it's just another way Texas agriculture matters.
This is the future of farming. Up to 40 acres of traditional farming is equal to 1 acre of ours, with 1/10 of the inputs involved.
Eden Green Technology is a hydroponic farm 45 miles southwest of Dallas, Texas.
No soil, it's all hydroponic, and it's done in these 18-foot vines, as we call them. And the water, the temperature, the nutrients are all controlled in these vines, and then the ambient temperature as well is controlled.
Eddie Badrina is the CEO. So with a combination of technology, research, and a desire to grow food in a sustainable, scalable, and healthy way, this agricultural enterprise has taken growing produce to another level.
The exciting part about Eden Green is that we are pushing the envelope, that we're doing something different and fun and exciting, but also that seems to be very smart, very intelligent, and is really working.
Some 50 different varietals are grown in this state-of-the-art greenhouse. This is also where seeds are tested and propagated.
What this facility really is for is to test out how we grow what we grow and then the varietals that we can grow. As we build out our facilities all over the nation and the world, then we'll have the commercially viable ones grown in those facilities. But this is the test bed for us.
Each seed starts out in what's called rock wool, made of molten rock spun at 1,000 degrees. Once it's taken root, it's then transplanted. With a year-round growing process, Badrina says they harvest about every 28 days.
This facility was built right next to the Walmart distribution center to prove that you can farm right here, put it in the distribution system, and get it from farm to shelf in a matter of 2 or 3 days instead of the industry average of 7 to 9 days.
This unique vertical growing system was birthed out of a dream of two brothers who wanted to feed starving children. The Van Buren brothers were visiting an orphanage in their native country of South Africa. Some of the kids would have to skip eating on some days so other family members could get food.
Kids that was playing, and the one little boy was just collecting all the food and putting it in his pocket. And when I asked the teacher, why is this child collecting all this food? She told me that he's taking the food home to his sister that was only 3 years old because it wasn't his day to eat. And that's how this came about.
And Eden Green is still feeding the less fortunate today, donating to food banks and nonprofits, using technology and hydrology to feed an ever-growing world. In Cleburne, Texas, I'm Tammy Arender reporting for Texas Agriculture Matters.
Howdy, neighbors. I'm pleased to have Eddie Badrina here with us today. He's the CEO, or what I like to call the top hand, at Eden Green Technology. Now, this is a new Texas company. It's on the cutting edge of agriculture. Eden Green is growing produce vertically. I mean like 20-foot walls. This is the state of the art. It's sustainable greenhouses. You don't use any soil and 98% less water than traditional farming. Eden Green hopes to revolutionize commercial agriculture and help feed the world. Eddie, thank you for joining us here on Texas Agriculture Matters.
So great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, great. Well, Eddie, has a very unique story. He's has a very touching story, and we're going to get him to tell us all about it. What inspired Eden Green?
Sure. Well, Eden Green is a vertical farming platform that can feed a lot of people in a small footprint, and it's all local. So for consumers, what that means is they're getting the best, freshest produce in a quick amount of time. It's all locally grown, and it's safer and faster. It lasts longer in their fridge than ever before.
So y'all, actually, if I understand this right, y'all set up pretty close to distribution warehouses. So you grow this produce right next to the distributor.
Yes.
And you could actually have it in a grocery store or in a school or in the militaries in 24 hours or less. It's that fresh, sometimes 48 tops, if I understand the program, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So the way that we've designed it, and we design, build, and manage the technology, it can be placed in an urban setting. It can be placed next to strategic distribution points. And so that allows us to get the produce off the vine into the distribution system and then onto shelves in as little as 48 hours.
That's miraculous. I had the opportunity to visit Eden Green when I was president of the Southern Association of States Department of Agriculture, and we had our conference here in Fort Worth, and I was amazed about that operation out there. I mean, y'all are the same day you're planting, the same day you're harvesting, and it's just like 24/7, never ends. And if I remember right, I don't remember the square footage of that greenhouse. I'm gonna say it's like 20,000 square foot, half an acre, and it produces like the same amount of produce that would come off of 240 acres in a year's time. Explain that to us a little bit.
Sure. So our modules are built in 62,500 square feet modules, if you will, acre and a half, right? The one out in Cleburne is a little smaller. It's around 50,000 square feet. But a 62,500 square foot facility will produce roughly 900,000 pounds of produce. So that's about 2.5 million salads, and in 1 year.
Wow!
Off an acre and a half. It's amazing.
Well, that's great. Do you think this new technology will reshape the way we farm and the way produce is grown in the future? Do you think this will catch on?
I really do think it will catch on. I think it's the wave of what you call agriculture 2.0, right? To have something that's locally grown, it helps increase food safety. It helps increase just food independence, either on a local as well as a global scale. And in terms of just the nutrition, it's just unparalleled.
We have urban encroachment. We lose about the equivalent here in Texas, about a farm a week.
Right.
So this is actually shrinks the footprint, the acreage-wise. And if you're producing on an acre and a half, the same amount that you can produce on a quarter section, that kind of the land issue problem kind of goes away, doesn't it? So that's one of the advantages of this new system. Of course, the best advantage is how fresh the product is.
Absolutely.
and it's in a very, if I remember right, and I do, it's a very, very sterile environment. I mean, it is absolutely almost zero risk of E. coli or salmonella or something like you have on these other fresh greens that come in from out in the field. So this is all enclosed. It's all climate controlled.
Yes.
You make your own. How do you raise it on only 98% of the water that a normal crop How do you do that?
So it all comes down to the technology and the platform, the way that we've built the hardware and those 18-foot vines that you talked about, as well as the way that we control the software and the automation system just makes it way more efficient. And so we can run 6 to 8 times the amount of water and nutrients through the roots, through the root system. And so it just grows that much faster. So we're spending less water and less nutrients growing it in usually 28-day cycles. So you have 28-day harvests from planting to harvesting.
Wow.
And so because of that, then we can grow so much with so little resources.
You know, and if I remember right, when the humidity is at a certain point, you actually make your own water out of the atmosphere. You pull that out of the air, right?
We
so
sure
you're not even pumping groundwater.
We sure do. The groundwater that that goes into our catchment system is the equivalent of probably around a 7,000 to 8,000 square foot house over a month.
Wow.
The water that we waste, it's just so little.
Wow, that's great. What else would you like these folks to know about Eden Green and this technology? Can this be replicated across the country, across the state? Or what, do you have plans to expand, or tell us about the future of Eden Green?
We sure do. Well, first of all, it all starts in Texas, right? So for the reason that we're here in Texas is because it's the perfect environment for agriculture, economy, for the business, and for technology. And so, you know, with the Department of Agriculture and then with you, under your direction, the ag environment is just so ripe, no pun intended, to grow a business.
Right.
The business environment, it's the best place in the world to start and
Absolutely.
grow a business. And then from a technology standpoint, Texas is becoming the hotbed of technology. So if you look at all three of those, it just makes total sense why it starts here. And then, to use a University of Texas phrase, it starts here, but it changes the world.
And wrapping up, but before we close, I want you to talk a little bit about your philanthropic avenues that Eden Green is doing for the local communities and how you're giving back and paying it forward.
Absolutely. So right now, because of the pandemic, we're partnering with local businesses, especially one called Profound Farms here in Dallas. And for every pound that they sell in their small business and they sell to consumers, we are giving a pound away to the Tarrant Area Food Bank. We're giving a pound away to Our Calling, which is a homeless shelter in Dallas, and a number of other nonprofits. So we're doing a one-for-one model because it's just the right thing to do during this time.
Wow, that's something. So for every dollar you sell, you give $1 away.
That's right.
That's fantastic. You know, that's very moving to me. We sure appreciate you being here. Don't be a stranger. People, if you want to see something and you want to follow a company that's on the cutting edge of technology, it's Eden Green and Eddie's Bunch out there where they're growing this fine produce. Thank you for being with us today, and God bless you and your operation.
Thanks, Ed.
For over 20 years, the Texas Department of Agriculture's Go Texan program has helped promote products made right here in the Lone Star State. From boots to salsa, Go Texan members make the best stuff on earth. Now, friends, let's take a look at one of these fine Texas businesses and why they are Go Texan proud.
Go Texan every day.
I'm Barbara Hodge. I'm CEO here at Dinan Gourmet Popcorn. We make lots of good flavors of popcorn, and this year we are celebrating our 40th year in the popcorn business. This is a Texas-made product because my father, who actually was born in another state, spent 26 years in the military and decided that Texas was the place that he wanted to call home when he retired. So he made sure his last assignment was here, and he retired from a 26-year career as a fighter pilot. And when you do that in the military, you're only like 45 years old. So he needed something to do. And he looked around for a business to buy that would allow him to work with his family. And he found a popcorn shop and began to work with his youngest children in the factory. This is absolutely something that has become a passion. I think you go through life and you don't really know. I can't say until I came and took over the business that I had a huge passion for what I do. But it's so much fun to work with your family, to develop something new, to have the excitement that's associated with pulling everybody together to accomplish something. This Texas-made product makes us proud. I've got to tell you, when we first started developing our grocery store line that you see on the shelf behind me, we were very worried about making it politically correct. Yeah, but you know, people in Ohio don't really care if it's Texan-made. We eventually began to hear from places like H-E-B, a Texas proud company. Other companies have approached us looking for something regional, and we finally went, oh, we need to stop apologizing for being from Texas. And it changed our entire focus and made us start to develop what we call the Texas Collection in our products, where it says Texas two-step, Texas wildflower vanilla, Texas heat. Those are the things that we develop. We're really proud of that. I think it's something that we actually emphasize even now in our fundraising product. Texas is a big state. When I took over this company in 2005, my father was already a Go Texan member, and I maintained that membership till 2010, 2011, and we took advantage of things like the state fair sampling opportunities and things like that. And that's when we started to build this factory up here, and we sort of lost touch and dropped the Go Texan until Karen came on board about 3 years ago, and she said, hey, this is a good program. I said, oh my gosh, it's something I want to get back into. She got us back into Go Texan, and I think it's just done nothing except get better. It is actually the reason, it's the whole reason we started this grocery store line. Karen was reading through the Go Texan magazine and flipping through the pages, and she saw this contest for H-E-B, a quest for Texas's best products. And really, she tells me that, she said, on a whim, she said, I spent a couple of hours filling it out, and we were in the top 25 finalists that year. And that gave us an in into H-E-B, which expands to ins other places. Then we got into the Go Texan, and this time at the State Fair, we were in the Go Texan store, and we did several samplings. They offer you the benefits of doing that. It's just, Go Texan seems truly vested in helping you make your business grow. This next year, we're going to go to one of our first big conventions, trade shows, where we get to showcase our product, and Go Texan is helping us with a little bit off on that fee. So that's something we're so excited about. I think so many people don't realize how much Texas agriculture affects our lives, our families, every day. Particularly in this business, one thing that really stands out is we use scales to make sure that the product is the exact right amount that goes into the bag. When we tell a customer it's got this many ounces in it, we have scales that make sure it's that much going in there. And the Texas Department of Agriculture holds our feet to the fire on that. They make sure, they come out and inspect and make sure that our scales are what they say they are. And it sort of protects, I think, consumers to make sure that we're doing our jobs. I'm Barbara Hodge with D9 Gourmet Popcorn, and I'm Go Texan proud.
Well, friends, thank you for joining us for another episode of Texas Agriculture Matters. I hope you learned a little bit about what the future of agriculture might look like. The vertical farming work being done by Eden Green is one of many innovations in agriculture today. We'll need this and other innovators for agriculture to continue to provide the food and clothing that the world needs. I'm proud to say that companies like Eden Green and others, as well as our stellar universities and programs like AgriLife program at Texas A&M, are keeping the Lone Star State on the cutting edge of agriculture. And while we can always improve technology, the one thing there's no need to improve is the farmers and ranchers of Texas. There's none better. So, as always, I'd like to close by saying thanks to every Texas farmer and rancher who works from sunrise to sunset to help keep our rural heritage alive. And finally, here's today's cowboy logic. You can build a machine that can do the work of 50 ordinary men, but no machine's ever been built that can replace one extraordinary man. Thank you, friends. God bless you. And remember, Texas agriculture matters.
From the salty Gulf Coast to the rolling high plains, to the piney woods in the east, all across our dear Texas, folks need good food to eat. Our farmers and ranchers are heroes. They've always made Texas great. Texas agriculture matters. It's the heart of the Lone Star State.
Oh, Texas got it on.